Thank you. And before to start this session, I would like also to thank you again, Startup Green, because I think that this is a great opportunity for me. I want to present myself. I'm Joshua Priore. I am the founder and CEO of Worldz. I am a member of Startup Green, so I'm very glad to be part of this big family and to be now from the other part of the stage to just to do something for the community. With me, Daniele Albanese, that is a friend of mine, but also the CEO and founder of Hirooks, that is basically a consultancy agency here in Italy, based in Milan. So thank you so much for joining us. Hi, Daniele, how do you do?
Hi, Josh. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Nice to meet you here. So let's start.
Yeah, sure. Before to start, I would like to say something that could be strange, but well, I am Italian, so I'm really sorry if I say something that doesn't mean anything in English. I'm just learning English. I'm just improving my English. So in case I will I don't know how to say, but go wrong with something, so please don't say nothing to that. I'm just improving my English. Okay, said so, I would like to start with the session with Daniele. And first of all, please, Daniele, if you want to introduce your company, what you do in your life, because I think that is very important.
Yeah. So I'm a business owner, so like a startup too. We started about 15 years ago. So Hirooks is a consultancy company that is helping small and medium businesses, companies to work with the digital devices, not only devices, with the innovation in the digital sector. So we help them to grow using tools, managing resources, teams, and this kind of stuff. And in my case, I'm a consultant, so I really help usually managers to help them to manage budget, to manage the goals, to prioritize what we have to do, and this kind of stuff. Yes.
Yeah. I had to say that you have also helped me before when I started with my company, with my startup. So I asked to Daniele, what I have to do for my company. I run a company in the Ecommerce world, of course. So Daniele just helped me to understand where to go, what are the strategy to perform better. So the topic of the session, as you know, is how to scale a startup in the e-commerce industry. But the thing is that we have to figure out and to think about the fact that we have already launched something. So if you have launched something and everything seems to be okay, how we can scale this business? This is the most important question.
Okay, just a little question. So
yeah.
Okay, so the first point, and I think that is the more obvious one, it's that there isn't a magic formula, so you don't have a way to scale, or just one way to scale. Before I want to answer you, I have to answer you. I would like just to keep focus on just one thing. Before we want to scale, I think that everyone has to know if he validates really the product, so the business model and this kind of stuff. Because many times I have seen startups that they just want to scale, but the business model doesn't fit. So I can understand that there are a lot of stage in the startups, but many times I think the first point is I have to validate that what I'm doing, it's working, it's worthwhile for the customers, and at least it's deliverable, works. If we validated the product and business model, when we want to grow, so we want to scale. So I think there are ways, in fact, two ways to do that. There is one way where we have to pay to have to be like visible, or to go on the market, like in advertisements, sponsorships, or this kind of stuff. But many times it sounds expensive. So there is another way. I think that it works really well also for startups, and that is to work with the unpaid area. So for me, it's like content, social, and all this kind of stuff. Working with a newsletter, loyalty program, kind of stuff. But now I want to give you just a tip. So it's like what I have seen that works most It's like just to consider that at the start we have, just like a startup, we have two problems. We are not so trustable because we are just new in the market, and probably we are not the reach, we are not visible to the market. And many times you can deal with that just with some partnerships. And how we can find partner, how we can do that. Many times I suggest just be your own customer, go on Google, just try to buy your product and just see what's going on. Which website is more ranked, or which is the magazine that is working well. And many times you have just to contact them. LinkedIn is a nice place. And just go there, try to figure out with a partnership program. Many times you can have a revenue share model, and then it works really faster. So the point is, if I want to scale, I need to be fast, and the fastest way, if someone solved the problem of the trust and to be visible, just work with them. It's really easier than another way.
Yeah, sure. So basically, you are saying that the first tip is: are you sure that you have validated the model, the product, so the process as well? Because if you think that is validated but it is not, you have a problem where you are scaling the business. And the second thing that you have just said is that you have to kind of choose that you can do. That is, the first one is I want to pay with a strategy based on the payment to be visible, to be trustable, to reach the goal faster and easier. And the second one is with a strategy that is not paid one. So, do you think that this kind of strategy can be done at the same time? So, for example, I can do the first one on the short period and the second one for the long period.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and first of all, if I pay, it's not sure that I will reach the goal. So the
Yeah,
point is
sure.
that the point is that I'm just easily visible, or I can figure out with my target easier. But it's not sure that I will reach the goal. So I think that all the time startups should have two ways at the start. For the short term, I think the best way is, if you have the possibility, it's to pay and try to do some tests on the market, to try also to figure out if with advertisements, sponsorships, or this kind of stuff, what's going on, if we have the results that we are expected. And in a second, in the same phase, we should start to build a brand, build the content, build the value, and then start to work to have like some strength in our company, so that we can build on them and then grow faster. So it's normal. If I have a newsletter with, I don't know, with my customer, I have a good relation with them. If I'm okay with the social media and this kind of stuff, I will be sure faster when I have to validate everything, like a new product, a new service, or something like that.
Sure, sure. So basically, okay, if this is very interesting point of view. I think that it could happen that I can do some mistakes during my process to scale up the business. So, what is your advice to avoid some mistakes that can help me to scale up faster?
So the point is that you cannot avoid your mistakes. You will do mistakes. You're an innovator, so you're not working on things that are sure working. So in this case, what I tell many times, you are like the business owner, the startup, or the manager. So many times you are like the foolish one, the brave one, so the one that takes risks, the one that is trying to innovate in all the ways. So many times, it's like the creative part, the innovation part, it's not a problem. Many
Yeah.
times I think in the 80% of the startup, or the problem is that you underestimate the rational part. So it's a part that you have to consider data. If I did something, how I can improve better, or I can work better, it's like I have data, I have to read them, I have to study them, and how it works. I mean, usually it's close easy. So close. It's
Yeah.
like if I have to do something, I want to test something. If it works, I have to run on it. So it's like go and do the must. But if it doesn't work, many times it's not about your idea, about your vision to change the world or this kind of stuff. But many times probably you are not fitting with the market. So it's like the target cannot understand you, or you are not going in the right way to the market, to the target, you are not communicating in the right way. So keep the data, study, take tests, and try again. The point is when you find something that it works, then you have to go faster than you can.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it could be very interesting. And I think that, of course, you are talking about data. So when you talk about data, you have to talk also about KPI and also about how to measure the KPI that you need. So do you have some advice about the tools or something like that to understand more what are my data, where are my KPI to see?
Yeah, I think that the first point that you need to define which key indicator are the most valuable for your company, because many times I see a lot of people, they're just looking for the best tool to do this kind of stuff, but it's what if I can give you an advice, it's not about the tool, it's many times about how you use the data. So if you have like the right indicator, it's like the lifetime value of a customer, or like conversion rate, or this kind of stuff, because many times you need to give a value also to the cost acquisition of a customer, so that you can correctly allocate the budget in different areas and know where you can push more, where less. And then in fact it depends every time about the company, how much budget do you have, or how many resources do you have. And then the point, if you have good indicators, you can easily understand where and in which way you can find it. And when you have to measure, when you have like clear ideas, you know which one are your KPIs. It's I don't know, I have creative KPIs, or you have like ET KPIs. So many times you can just look for the best tool for the right sector. So it's going on different startups. So it depends really a lot about your core business and what you're working about.
Yeah, sure. In fact, I remember during maybe it was a week or something more than a week ago, I had seen something like an ads in which there was written that Amazon has a lifetime value from his own user that changed between the Prime member and the not Prime member. If you can see how much they spend, the Prime member one versus the other one, you can see that the Prime members spend like 3 times more than the second one. So all the strategy that is behind this kind of thought is about to push people to buy a Prime subscription, because when you have a user in the Prime subscription, then you can see that there is a lifetime value that is very interesting, very just a little bit more than the other one. So I would like also to say that as a startup, even if you are not an e-commerce or something like that, but as a startup and you want to scale, you have to be ready to change, right? Because everything is about the marketing, the market, everything is about your product. So you have to be ready to change if you want to scale. So how to be ready to change?
Okay, sounds nice, because just 1 hour ago I was on LinkedIn, and they have seen the last post of Netflix, and they told us, follow your dreams. We started for selling DVDs. So,
Yeah.
so the point here, I think that a startup, but not only a startup, I think that today every company has to be sure that I don't think they need to change. I think that they need to evolve. They need to have a continuous improvement, because that's the point. If you have data, you can follow the data, and you can follow them and have all the time better strategies, performing on the activity that you are doing. So the point is, I think it's really a mix, because between your, I don't know, your vision as entrepreneur, and the data that you have. Uh, in the best way, you are matching them. The best way and easier is to evolve. I have seen like this summer like a documentary of Amazon, and I have seen that the team was like the evening just watching the website or the data, what people did on the website, and they just were discussing why they did that and which way, can we improve in the checkout or in the product sheet. So that's almost the point. I think that you have really to study. First of all, you need to collect the data, but then you have to study with your team what you can do. And then we are in startup model, so the testing, it's test and learn. I think it's like mandatory in the sector.
Yeah. Do you think that since we are in the e-commerce industry, we can also speak about what is the infrastructure in the IT, right? So basically, if we are talking about, all the kind of CMS or also custom CMS, if I have to be ready to change, I should also use a platform, an e-commerce platform that can help me to be ready to change. Because sometimes it could happen that when you are small enough, you think that everything seems to be okay because you don't have all the clients that you can reach. But as soon as you starting to scale up, then you can see more problem, more issue. So every time that you see a problem and an issue, you have to change, maybe also change your platform. So it is the IT also a problem and not only a resource.
Yeah, so the point is, I think you're right on the point. So I think
Yeah.
that the platform today, the first thing that they have to give you is the ownership of the data. Because the problem, otherwise you are coming to be the hostage of the platform. Because if you have to switch, and many times you have to switch, also if it's impossible in day zero in the program, it's because things are going to change. In the last 15 years, the sector totally changed. So we have almost no platform that 15 years ago was working as a leader. Today is no more the leader.
15.
Yeah.
You mean 15 years. So
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
lot of
15
time for
years.
the digital world.
No.
Yeah.
It's like in 15 years, it's changed almost everything. So I can just imagine if some customers, they couldn't switch from a platform to another one or lose the data. That could be a huge problem, because then you are not the owner of your own business.
Yeah. You became such a supplier of another kind of business. I don't want to say nothing about CMS because I have agnostic way to see all the CMS. I think that also the custom one could be great, but I think that when you start maybe at the beginning and you want to scale, you have to be sure that your platform can follow you and to be just flexible enough to change when you need it. So based on the first think about Amazon, as I told you about Amazon Prime and the other one, do you think that today we are changing the approach from the product to the service? Because every time that I do something, I have a service behind it. So are services the new products?
Oh, so I think at this point, I heard about it since I was studying. So I think it's a fact, because we have to define what's a product.
Yeah.
If you are studying marketing and this kind of stuff, so come on, service is part of the product. We cannot switch these two points. So the point is that many times you cannot consider more the product without the service. Because what we can see, obviously, online, there's everyone now, so you have a lot of competition, and many times probably the service is the only value proposition in your product. So it's like you cannot just think that it's secondary or is something that I can see or not see. So many times it could be the main goal to grow and also to scale in this case.
Yeah, sure, of course. So, about that, I would like just to say something more because I think that sometimes you are in the point in which you need to add some services to the product because you want to collect more data about your customers, you want to understand more about the behavior. And sometimes it could happen that, for example, you have to take some services from external company, from outside of your company, to bring it in your company to understand more about you, because you are not in the position that you can do everything for your company. You need to use all the tools that are external to you. So one of the maybe worst or bad thing that you can do is to extern part of your business, because and I remember that I did it in past. I had also some problem about that. I made some mistakes about that, but I at the moment I extern part of my business to other agency, consultancy agency, or something like that. Also to uh, uh, SaaS reseller, because Worldz is basically a SaaS. So one of my biggest, how to say, worry is that I'm concerned about the fact that if I externalize everything or a lot, because I want to be I want to run fast, because I don't want to have everything internal, because I don't want to have fixed costs. So how can I manage the fact that I need to put something external from the company, but I need also something that is internal to the company? So how to avoid to put everything out from the company and extend to other supplier?
Okay, so what I can tell you, it's like
Yeah, it
because
is. It
it's
is
a
a
huge point. It's a huge
yeah.
point.
It's a huge point. Yeah,
Okay, but
yeah,
I don't think it's so, I don't know, so critical in many cases. So today we are going to be lean as possible because
yeah,
we need to focus the budget on all the stuff. I can understand that you had problem with the external agency, but probably you could have the same problem in the start also with your employees,
yeah.
yeah, with
Sure,
your
sure.
stuff. So many times there is not a right way. I think that every startup knows if you have a team of just 10 people, 5 people, 2 people, or 20 people, the point is that you cannot have all the people that you want in your company.
Yeah.
So many times is I need to have the key figure in my in house. So it's like my real asset. If we are a technology industry, in the technology industry, I would like to have more ownership on the technology. But you could just start with a good PM, with a good project, and that can manage an external team. You don't know. It's just that you need to have at home the ownership, the logic. So it's how the business is going further. Because, like you told me before, the sales funnel that you are going in SaaS with the sales part,
Yeah,
but I'm sure that you own the business process, the sales process, and all this kind of
yeah,
stuff. So in
yeah,
this case, you can go external because they are salesmen, they do only this kind of stuff, and probably you cannot have the same performance in home. So I think that the point in a startup, you have to own the strategic part, the assets, and you can then externalize the performance part. So the one that you probably cannot build at home from the day zero. So
mhm.
that's almost advice.
So you think that it could be better if you start externalizing everything that is not the core business, and then as soon as you are growing, then you can bring back these, I don't know, managers or whatever it is into your company to be, let's say, uh, less risky about your own business.
Yeah, probably if you have a product that is really innovative or something like that. So probably you want someone in your company that is working on the development of the product.
Mhm.
But if the salesman is not in your company, it's not a huge problem. Or you have a really
Well, let's talk about that, because I think that if you don't understand how to sell that,
but
then it is a
that's another
problem.
point. That's another point. How to sell? The point is, what is the key factor in my company? What's the point that can me really help to grow? Because the point is, otherwise we can now discuss about every every
Yeah, sure, sure.
sales, marketing, IT, or this all this kind of stuff. So many times it's about budget allocation, and so you need to understand what's more important in this moment. It's
Yeah,
not what's important because probably you're right. Everything is
Yeah.
almost important. So
Yeah, it's about timing, because as a startup, everyone knows right here, I think, that there is idea, product, team, execution,
yeah,
and
exactly.
also timing. It's one of the most important thing. So yeah, I need to come back to the question because we are going far from that. So
That's a problem to do.
yeah, the next question would be, what is the concept behind web agency consultancy agency? And I want to just to bring back to the question, because this is an important one from my point of view. Because when you externalize something to another company, that could be whatever, a web agency, a consultancy one, or whatever it is, then you have to be sure that you are doing the right decision for your company. This is the most important thing, because if you are doing something wrong, then you can do something to avoid the mistakes. You can do something to fix it, but then you have just lost the time to do something more that you can do before. So the thing is, if I'm thinking about the web agency and a consultancy one, what is the best way to understand what is the difference between them, but not only in the point of view of the web one and the consultancy one, but if I have to choose a partner, because a web agency and a consultancy agency, basically they are partner of your company, what is the best way to understand what is the best for me and what are the differences?
Okay, so I think that if we focus on the difference, we can start to discuss more. So the point is that there is no one that is, you don't have to choose one. So many times what I'm also doing today and what I do almost every day, many times I'm more like a coach. I just help you to consider some stuff, to consider some things, and to help you to improve your business model. Web agency usually, and also they are evolving now, they are more focused on the performing channel. So it's like many times we have like web agency really strong on the RDB or on the content marketing or on other stuff. So many times you can have the best skills in a web agency. It's really hard to find that in a consultancy agency because many times you have consultant in the other part. So they will help you to consider, and many times it's like you have someone to talk about your business, how to take decisions. So because that's the point. With one, you are talking about your business. With the other one, you are talking about performance or your web activities. So that's the difference. But many times, I think, also in our case, we are partnered with the web agency, and we work really close with a web agency of our customers, because many times we can also have like really huge discussion because they are more like vertical in the sector. So many times you can find it like a web agency that is working in the SaaS sector. So they're really focused on them. So they could be the best way for you. So it depends. You have just to focus that one is working on the web activities, the other one is working on the business decisions. So that's
Okay.
almost a different point.
Okay, so
But
it's up to
it's
timing
evolving
also
now
again.
because we are like in a moment where it's not clear now. So
For the market, do you mean?
yeah, the market is not clear now. So I have seen many stuff. I think we're the market and those the businesses that are a little bit confused about this. Should be thing.
Yeah, so there are some web agencies that they think that they are consultancy one and both
And probably
from the other.
also.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
also from the other part. Okay, so yeah, so another kind of question that I would like to ask you, even if it could be something that it could be viewed as a strange one, but uh, I remember when Facebook just with Mark Zuckerberg said mobile first, and everyone say, yeah, we know it, but we didn't understand what he meant to say. At the moment, we are hearing about product first, technology first, process first. Everyone is saying that something has to be first than others. So I would like to understand your point of view about what is really first, then the second, the third. That's one. So it is product first. It is technology first. What I can do as a startup in the e-commerce industry, what can I do? Where I have to see for product first, technology first, so process first.
Okay, so I want to be nice, but I think that a lot of people,
You,
they
you
just have.
should you should be nice.
Okay, so the point is that a lot of people, I think that they have more to sell the last course or the last book. But the point is, I think we have to start all the times from the basics. And the basics are sure not product first or this kind of first. It's, I think that first of all is the value proposition. So what are we doing here? Why we are doing that? How we are going to go in empathy with our customers? How we are working with them? What are the key factors? I don't think it's something it's more important than another one.
Okay.
It's about the relation. You can also imagine now. I don't think it's so difficult to imagine the big brands in the world. Uh, they don't have something that is first. They just bring the product or the service to the customer in the right way. So in a
Don't you think? I would say
go
something
go.
that could be very easy, but do you think that Apple, for example, that has the product first strategy? Don't you think about that? I think yes, but when I start thinking about the technology that is behind it, I think that yeah, it's the same for them, but it is not. If you can read behind the lines, so are you sure that they are on the same level? Because sometimes I think about my company and I think that they are not at the same level. Because I want to be, for
Okay,
example,
but I want to
yeah,
say what it means, product first. When I tell you it's the value proposition first, if you want on the product, who is coming to you and it says that the camera is more important than the device or the software that is on it, so or the all delivery management or the assurance when you buy an Apple stuff. I don't want
yeah,
to talk too much,
yeah,
but you know that 3 years later your product has a good evaluation. I think that all this stuff together gives you the brand, the product. That's all product. So that's almost the point. If the technologies doesn't work, I don't think that Apple today was Apple. So that's almost the point. So
yeah, yeah, I can understand your point of view. I think that I can agree also with you because it is something very, very hard to understand where is the focus of a company. Because when you are talking about the biggest company, of course, it was something that I knew that when I thought about Apple, I was just pushing. But you know, it is something that at the moment the customer has an habit about that. They are used to that kind of service, that kind of product, so they're expecting that. So I would like also to understand from your point of view, because I know that you talk with a lot of people across Europe, across Italy, and I would like to understand what do you think about the market and where the market is going in Europe, because we can see that the e-commerce industry is really huge. They are very is going up every year. So I would like to understand what is your point of view since you talk with a lot of people in the market.
okay. Just to close before the question before, for me it's like I just give you the point of view because I have seen in many years like business owners or customers that they had like a really bad technology and it works because they had like the best market fit.
Yeah,
So that's the point. In this case, I have seen the other customer working so much on the technology, spend a lot of time, a lot of money, but they never had the results. That's why today, me like a consultant, I have just to say, consider that. It's don't follow in love with one of the part because probably it's not the part that will give you different.
well, we as a startupper we know it. So yeah, we
Okay.
know that we don't have to fall in love. Yeah, everyone knows.
Okay.
So bring
And
back
then
to the
about
question.
the second question. So I think that the point is COVID time changed almost everything. What I can say about the European market, closely more about the Italian market, is that now everyone, really everyone, is buying online.
Yeah,
So we are like all the target online now. So all the people are buying or at least looking for the new product, new services on the smartphone or on the web. So that's the first point. If everyone is online, probably today also every competitor that you have is online. So that's a fact. Because that's a fact now. So there is no more strategy where there's like second stuff. We have seen in these 2 years a lot of big brands like Zero or this kind of stuff that they developed like a lot of incomes from the e-commerce. So I think that now there is no more a board where they're no more talking about the e-commerce. That's the first point. I think that the second point, it's clear, not, I don't know if for everyone now, but the point is that the e-commerce is not just a store. It's no more just a store. It's the part where I develop the brand, I can validate my strategy because it's really fast, easy to innovate and see which reaction we can have with the customers. We can see the process again. Sometimes we integrate the CRM, the ERP, with the store, and this all kind of stuff is going in the process. You can manage your service, the customer care. You can have a close relation with your customers. Many times you can also change the way you're working with them. And then, first of all, the first data generator in your company probably is your website, and it's also your e-commerce, and that's almost the point. So I think that it's also a good point, because today when you're developing your e-commerce, you should consider that is a platform. It's your business platform. It's not just the website where I'm selling my product. That's a point. The last point, I think that it's going to evolve, but the point is, okay, Amazon now, but what I see more, that there are some niche that are every time more top players. So it's like, I think the fashion sector or the automotive sector and this kind of stuff. I think that all the time we will see and we will find more niche with new top players coming on. And that's a good point for startups. You can work with them or be you the next top player in the niche. So that's the point, because they need to grow, you need to grow. Many times you can work together and do it really faster.
Yeah. It is a great point of view. Yeah, I like the way that you just consider the market, because I think the same over my experience. I read something like that Netflix consider um, is direct competitor TikTok. That is not something that you can imagine if you think about, but yeah, it is, because you spend a lot of time on TikTok watching something, then you can spend on Netflix watching a movie. So yeah, I think that the market is very huge. So you have to consider also a kind of competitor that is not direct in the imaging, but you have to understand that maybe someone that does something that is very different to you, it is your competitor. So
Yeah.
it's something that is very important. Okay, I think that it's something like enough. I would like to understand if there are some questions. Thank you again, Daniele, for the time
Thank
that you
you.
spent with us. Yeah, I think that was very interesting. All your point of view about all the questions that I asked you. I would like to understand if there are someone that has some question about what we have just said. I'm just looking for the Q&A. Is coming also Claire to
Yes.
help us.
Yes. Hi.
Hi, Claire.
Okay, so we have a question in the stage chat that says, how important is design thinking when you're trying to solve a problem? Or is there other methods more important, or does it depend on the problem that you're
Okay, so how important is design thinking? Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
so in my
Have you read the question, because it's a long one, so it is
Yeah.
better if you read it.
Okay, so I think it's just a way now to consider, to discuss with the team. So if we have to talk about e-commerce, I think it's a good way to discuss with your team, and it's a faster way also to express your opinion and to understand what you want to do. I don't want to mix. I think that the design thinking is more a process, how you solve problems, or you are going in the market, or you evolve your business model. But in the e-commerce, you can do design thinking or other stuff. I think the point is how you are going to find your value proposition and how you're working with your customers. The way you're doing that, I think it's another point. We should go further, but the point is, it's okay. I'm fine with it. I think it's a fast way to discuss with your team, but I think it's another concept today.
I would like also to answer the question too, because I think that it is an important question. Well, I think that from my point of view, every time that I have a problem, it could be a business problem or also a personal one, the kind of thing that I do basically is to take the problem. This is something that a lot of people do every time, but I take the problem and then I cut the problem in small pieces, because I think that when you have to solve a big problem, you can feel lost. But if you take the small piece of every kind of problem and you start solving that, you can figure out that at the end of the process, then you have solved the problem too. So this is one of the things that I do every time, because you can also be in front of a big problem. It could happen, and then you have just to understand how to solve it in less time. And when you have to do it, then you have to cut it and see what kind of thing that you can use every time to solve it. This is my approach.
If I can add something, I think that design thinking in this case, it helps to the collaboration. So it's easier to communicate with your team, because many times you have like ideas, but you are like the marketing man and the IT one. He just can't understand what you're telling them. So design thinking, I think that
and they can understand each other.
So that's why I really believe that it's a good point.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Melissa. I think that the event is great too.
Okay. I used to just now.
That was awesome. I do have a question though. Josh, since you are a founder yourself, what's the biggest problem that you've come across? Maybe in relation to this event itself, like when we talk about scaling. So obviously you've worked with Daniele before, like setting up your business. So like what did you come to him for help with scaling, or how exactly have you addressed some of the problems that you faced so far?
Well, I would say that there are a lot of problems that I figured out during the past. Yeah, for sure. Because I think that, every time that you are trying to scale up a company, you are trying to start a business that is very new, you have a lot of problems because you don't have a reference. If you are starting a business that is a me too of another, then you can watch what your competitor, let's say, is doing or has done before. So you can figure out. But when you are starting something very new, the problem is that there is you and you alone. At the beginning, for sure, then you can create the team, etc. But at the beginning, you are alone. So I think that one of the most important period in the life is when I just understood how can I raise capital. Here in Italy, I would say that is not that easy to find capital, because in Italy, the environment, it is not something that is very related to the startup environment, the startup industry. So it was really hard to prove that there is something that can scale up, that can be a company. So this was one of the most important period in my life. And I think that I solved the problem, to say, even if I didn't solve enough, because we are also scaling up right now. But I solved the problem when I understood that I didn't meant to think about the company as a company as well, but as a product at the beginning. Because you know the Death Valley, everyone here knows about the Death Valley and the period in which you are just launching the product and you understand something, and you back to the development period, and then you can do it. And when you think about the fact that you have, for example, find your product market fit, and you think that you are in the position that you can scale up because you have the product, then you starting to understand that you will do every time the same phase to do. You launch out of the functionality and you are back to the product again, even if you have found the product market fit. And when you are starting to do it, then you can also show your company for what it is to investors. And you have to show that there are something that you are improving, because they don't want to see that the company is perfect. Because if the company is perfect, they can say, okay, so you don't need our money. So the thing is to be honest with that. You need to show that you are fixing the problem and you are able to fixing the problem. If you are in that position, they can trust you and they can also spend their money and invest their money to you. You can minimize. There is another question, Claire. There is, how can you minimize the cost of building an MVP when trying to solve an e-commerce platform? Well,
so here the point, I think it's coming from the IT. You can build or buy. So the point is that many times someone solved the problem before of you. So try before to find if there is just something or a tool or something like that solves the problem for you. We solved a lot of problems also with an Excel program or this other kind of stuff. So the point is just look if someone had your same problem, and in this moment a lot of, come on, we are now the last 10 years a lot of startups had your same deal, and they had to put the solution online or ask something, and so they were born a lot of tools. I think that a lot of successful tools are just startuppers that they changed the, the business model because they found a problem that was much huger than the one that they were solving in the moment. So,
I will say also something more, Daniele, that is, if you are building an MVP, maybe you can find a way to build something that is just one functionality, or very just one or two things at most. Because when you're thinking about MVP, I'm thinking about just the core of my business. I'm thinking about what I think that is the best idea that I have I end. Because if you're starting thinking about something that could be a copy of other platform with another kind of way, but you are a startupper, so basically you are just starting. You have not a company which you can use functionality there and then you can put together. If you are starting from scratch, and this is the way that you as a startupper want to do, then you can also choose one thing to start. And if it works, then you can put another one and then another one again. And this can also help you, as the lean startup said, this can also help you to avoid mistakes. Because every time that you are improving something, you can understand it, you can test it. If it doesn't work, then you can bring back to the first stage and change everything that you have done. So to minimize the cost, if you have a big idea, make it small. I know that is something that everyone will say, really? Yeah, you have to take it and just use one functionality, just one thing of your idea. And then you have to launch. Even if you think that it is not enough, it is something that you don't want to, but it is not a problem. Everyone will know that you have an MVP. That's it, it's okay. So yeah, you have to start with just one thing.
Yeah, the point if he has to solve a problem, as I told before, he needs to find also the way, if it's important enough to spend money or spend time for that. If it's okay, then you first of all try all the time to find if someone figured out and there is a solution that is you can many times buy with $20-$30, or you need to develop something.
Yeah, I will also say something more about that, because I want to bring my experience here, because when we are talking about MVP, I have a little bit of experience about that. When I started, I didn't have too much money, because the first venture was just 15,000 euro for us. So it was not enough to start a company. So basically, everything that we have done is, okay, let's see if the idea works. And basically, I didn't say that, but Worldz, basically, my company basically let you understand what is the increase the conversion rate of an e-commerce if the user share what is going to buy. So basically, you can give to a user a credit, a personal credit based on the popularity on social media. If the user share what is going to buy, then he can take a credit. So since it was a little bit hard to implement everything, to develop everything, the first thing that we have done is we took a web page, we put the Facebook login inside with our algorithm in which there was our technology. So you can also basically go to that page and say, I am Joshua, I do the Facebook login, and I can see what is my popularity value. And based on this, we have reached around 1,000 of people, even if we have no strategy about ads or something like that. And this helped us also to prove to the venture that it works. So we started in that way, and then we had another thing that doesn't work. So we come back from the software and we develop something more. Melissa Wyatt is writing something more.
That's
How
a
do
nice
we
one.
start building the right team to help scale? This is a huge question. I mean, this is a huge question. It's up to Daniele. Please say to you, because I don't want to.
No. The one is, it's really not easy. So I need to understand the stage of the startup.
Exactly. This is what
Without the context, it's hard to explain, or to, because if I'm in an early stage,
I think
the
so.
point to scale, to find people to scale, it's really not easy. You need your best friend that it's really skilled, and it's coming to you and it's helping you. Otherwise, I think that's go out, because it's a little bit easier, because the problem, you have not attraction for people that are skilled enough to help you to scale. That's the point where it's more, it's easier to find it out. Okay, yeah, just beginning. So
Yeah,
I think it's not easy to find someone in the team. You can find someone that is helping you, but I think that it's easier to go to some consultants. You can see more offers.
I don't agree with that. I don't definitely. I don't agree with that, because you don't have budget during this period.
Yeah,
You
but
don't have the budget.
she has to scale. If she has to produce the product, it's okay. But if she has to scale, I don't think she can find someone that is ready for that. It's a big deal. So okay. Otherwise,
sometimes
don't think
people,
about the team. If you really don't have money, just study, do it by yourself. Because no, but the point is that team management is another huge problem. And you are just going to add more complexity in your company. I will never suggest you, when you're starting, okay, just keep someone in your staff that is probably underpaid and try a way to scale. So I think you have to be honest with yourself. Do it by yourself, or find someone that would help you, or that would take risks with you, because this is another way. Just give them some piece of the company. I think that Worldz did this kind of stuff. So just to engage people.
Yeah, Jessica Acosta is a great answer. I will say to Melissa, in your question, there is something that I don't understand. You said that the startup is just beginning, so okay, but you said just now to have to scale. As we said at the beginning of the conversation, we said that before to scale, you have to understand more about your product. So when you said beginning, I think that you are just launching the product. So if you're launching the product, maybe you are not ready to scale, because if you have find the right team and you have find the right product, you have produced. Yes,
okay.
That's what I so far good. 2 years, okay, but yeah, everyone in the market will say that 2 years for a startup, it is a big period. it is not. There are a lot of startups that began big, very long far ago before the start. So don't feel the pressure because you have started 2 years ago. It is okay if you don't find a way to become very, very big at the in so less time. Think about Netflix that started from DVD, as Daniel said. So yeah, I think that if you are starting and if you have launched the product and you know that the product did have a product market fit as well, then maybe you think that you have the right team to try to scale. If you don't think that you are in that kind of situation, it means that maybe you are not ready to scale because you have to figure out about the product. This is my advice about that. And of course, connect with your local startup agreement chapter.
To add on to that, I think a key point that I didn't hear either of you make is mentors and having mentorship accessible to you, advisors, not necessarily consultants, of course, but always the people.
No, it's almost the same. So.
Yeah. So that's definitely something that, at least here at Startup Grind, we really try to emphasize is mentorship, because a lot of people want to help other startups for free too.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have great advice. Like I personally know a bunch of mentors who want to hear people pitch all the time, and they'll give feedback about really honing in on what your MVP is and really understanding your product. And as someone that's listened to a bunch of pitches, I think like a lot of the success, it can be a super small team, right? To have a great success. It can also be a huge team. But I think the best part is if you have somebody that's giving you active feedback about all of this, it's going to help you clarify every single step of the process. Obviously, I don't have the experience of like having a startup like you, Josh, but
it is real. Everything that you said is real. I think I can underline everything that you said. Yeah, of course. Yeah, so yeah, look into Founder Boost as well. Yeah. I like the way that she's writing things, because it seems that it's doing something like marketing for startup beginning. But I think that is a big community, so I can understand about that. So yes, of course, about mentorship, it is interesting also for mentor to give advice about everything. Spot on. Okay.
Yeah. So we're coming to the very end of our session here. I think, obviously, by the way that our audience has interacted, this was super informative and really great to have the both of you here. Do you have any like part?
Sorry, Claire, I just lost you. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, my
fault. I think that is my connection.
Do you have like a parting sentence or a word of advice for startups in the e-commerce industry that are looking to scale? Anything that you want to leave our audience with tonight?
Daniele, do you want to say something about that? I think that the first advice
I think that the first advice was the best one. Just validate first, because a lot of people, they're coming, but they're sure that they can scale, but many times they didn't validate the business model. And then if you scale is a problem. Could be a problem then, because you can find all the problems in the second phase. So many times just validate the business model, and then you have to test a lot. You have to do, and my advice all the time is work with other people, because we are all small enough. So the point is, together we can do something. Partnerships, in our case, I can tell you, it's almost my third company. So my third company. So the point is, partnerships helped me a lot to grow. Alone was really hard, really hard.
Yeah, I think that this is the same from my point of view. To close the conversation, because I think that first of all, you have to validate everything. In fact, as you've seen, Claire, also one of the question was, I'm ready to scale, but I don't have the team. Maybe if you don't have the team, it means that you are not ready enough to scale. That doesn't mean that you are not good or something like that. It means that just that you need more time. And so take your time when you have to do things. It is true that you want to be fast, but not to be too much fast. Because if you are running too much fast, more than you can, maybe you can do some mistakes that you can avoid if you go a little bit slower than before. So yeah, validate, be small enough and flexible enough with your platform, with the team, with everything, because you will change a lot of times. You will change the product, you will change, you can also pivot. We have done it before. We have pivoted the product. So I know that sometimes you are in love with the platform, you are in love with your idea, you have launched it, but when you see what are the results, you say, no, something is not working. So you have to change again. Maybe you have just to change something, but you have to be structured enough to be fast to change. And as Daniel
If I can
said, evolve.
add just something, that's why the team is not the first focus, because you can, they are growing your fixed costs. So it's not a good way to scale if you haven't tried a way without a team, or I don't know. I will never suggest to grow the fixed cost before you hadn't find a way. So that's the point.
Yeah. Thank you, Nipunika. Thank you so much to you too.